How to become a copywriter in 3 months or less and replace your income in 2024. Hey you, I'm Sarah Turner. I'm a freelance copywriter, copywriting mentor, an 8-figure business owner, and an author. I've had a lot of things happening in the last few years. And also, I'm a new mom. I have to add that because it is one of the best things that has ever happened to me. Anyway, that's a little bit about me in case you don't already know who I am, but today I really just want to go ahead and dive into how you can become a copywriter. Now, obviously, I'm a massive fan of becoming a copywriter because it is a lucrative skill. It is a skill that will allow you to be able to work from anywhere, to get you time autonomy if you become a freelancer, not working in-house. I'm a big proponent of that, as you will find out. And truly, it allows you an incredible amount of flexibility so that you can shapeshift your business to fit whatever season of life you're in, whether you are about to have a baby or just want to travel the world or whatever it is. I have lived so many different lives, I feel like, in the last 10 years. And all of those different points in my life have looked very different, and copywriting has given me the flexibility and the freedom to kind of shapeshift again my business to match whatever's going on in my life. And so I'm super passionate about getting good quality information into the hands of people who think this might be a good career for them. So we're gonna go over what is copywriting, how you can know if this might be a good fit for you. We're gonna go over how AI is impacting the industry because everyone loves to talk about that. And then I'm going to walk you through how to become a freelance copywriter. And I'll cover at the end some of the most frequently asked questions that people ask me. So first things first, real quick, what is copywriting and how do you know if it's a good fit for you? So copywriting is writing. It's often sales writing or marketing writing. It is persuasive writing. The purpose of copywriting is writing in a way that gets people to act. It's how you put products and services into the hands of the people that need it most. Now, if you are anything like me and you are somewhat reluctant to marketing and marketing in general, that is okay. That's because we've got a lot of examples of how marketing can be quite sleazy, to be honest. But really, truly good marketing doesn't feel like marketing, doesn't even feel like sales. What it feels like is connection and finding something that you think, oh my gosh, this is just the right thing for me. So if you've ever bought something that really helped you or even transformed your life, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I always like to remind people that even if you had the cure for cancer, you would still need great copywriting and great marketing so that you could get into the hands of the right people, because there would be people who have objections, who have concerns, who don't think that maybe it's for them or they can't afford it. And so you always need great copywriting. In fact, that is why copywriting is a very resilient career. It's been around for a long time, and I don't see it going away anytime soon. It's because it is quite literally the cornerstone of any business's success. Every single business needs fantastic copy to get their mission out and to end up in the right people's hands. This is also why I'm also not concerned about AI. Now, AI is an incredible tool. It helps us with ideation, with research, with compiling ideas, with organization, with outlining things, but it is not anywhere close to replacing copywriting. In fact, when people are worried that AI is going to replace copywriting, what that tells me is that they don't either, one, understand exactly what copywriting is, and two, they probably are just thinking that copywriting is just the words. Now, some people may teach copywriting that way. I don't teach copywriting that way. When you learn copywriting from me, you actually walk away being much more of a fractional CMO, a chief marketing officer, because you understand big picture strategy and numbers and how to actually take the work that you're doing and the words that you're writing and translate it into successes for the businesses and brands that you are writing for. And in today's world, copywriting is most often things like sales pages, ads, white papers, product descriptions, emails, websites, blogs, funnels, and so many other things. So you can be a copywriter where you just write words, but again, the way I teach copywriting, you know, big picture strategy, and you're making holistic recommendations to your clients, which means that AI is always going to be a tool for you, because at the end of the day, you're working with business owners. They are busy running their business. They don't have time to sit down and figure out how to even make AI work for them. And so it's your job, your responsibility to be that person who brings in one, subject matter expertise, because you still need that to make AI work for you. The output is only as good as the input, right? And also you need to understand all of the strategy and psychology that goes into what makes successful copywriting and successful marketing campaigns. So that is something that I wanted to make sure that we got out of the way right out the gate. So there are a few things I want you to consider before we dive into the actual step-by-step process. And the first one is copywriting right for you? Now, I have worked with over 6,000 freelance copywriters, so I've seen some themes, and I want to share some of those with you. First things first, a lot of people really like the idea of writing or pursuing the idea of becoming a writer. Now, this is one of the most amazing things of my personal journey. Copywriting absolutely set me up to be ready to write a book way sooner than I could have ever imagined. I always wanted to be a writer, but I had this idea in my mind that I'd either be starving or I'd have to get lucky and be Stephen King. And so I just didn't think it was a real option for me. So lo and behold, it was a massive surprise when I figured out how to make $300,000 a year writing words. That was really, truly a dream come true for me. The other thing that you definitely are going to need to have as part of who you are in order to be a great copywriter is you're really gonna need to love learning. Sometimes when people ask me like, what is it like to be a copywriter? I just tell them I literally get paid to learn. It's the best. I love learning and I love researching. And that is quite frankly why copywriting has kept my attention for so long. I've been doing this 10 years. And it's because it's ever evolving and ever growing. And I actually see AI as part of that evolution. We have seen so many changes over the last 10 years in copywriting and in marketing. And so there's really nothing to be afraid of, especially when you approach your business, your freelance business, your journey as an entrepreneur with a forever student mindset. That just means that you are going to be adaptable, open, and ready to learn. And that is a really important part of being a successful copywriter. The other thing that I think is really important is you're gonna need to want to work for yourself. You're gonna need to be self-motivated. Now, I will say that when you pick something to write in, like a niche, in something that you are super passionate about, which is a big part of my messaging, you are going to be motivated. And I can't tell you the number of times I have conversations with, former nurses, for example, and they think, yeah, but I've never been my own boss before and I don't know if I can do it. And then I ask them, didn't you go to nursing school? And they're like, yeah, well, yeah, of course. And I'm like, and did you do the work? Because nobody put a gun to your head. You definitely had to do that work yourself. And what we often don't realize is that it's the same thing. You just have to put some things in place to make sure that you're hitting deadlines, things like that. It is so much more attainable than we believe that it is. And all it means is that you need to understand a little bit about how to make the freelance lifestyle work for you. Again, you could take everything you learn about copywriting and go out and get a copywriting job. To me, that feels like such a waste because one, copywriting jobs don't usually pay as well as you can earn as a freelancer. And two, you lose that freedom, that autonomy, which is the thing that I'm most passionate about, is having the freedom in your day and in your location so that you can do whatever you want to do and be able to be there for your family or take a vacation or take a trip or go on an extended trip. Whatever that looks like for you, you can find that freedom in freelancing. So some other benefits of freelancing, because I really want to touch on that, because I want to prime you for the, part of the conversation of what it looks like to actually become a copywriter is, again, if we're talking about freelancing or going in-house. Most people with copywriting programs actually started in-house and didn't have the journey of becoming a freelancer and starting from the very, very bottom and working their way up. And I would say that's a big differentiator between me and other people teaching copywriting. I did not get my start with a big company. I actually built from zero. I was a freelancer all the way through, and that's really important because you need to be really good at client acquisition in order to be a successful freelancer. So other benefits of freelancing real quick are, I've talked about location independence. You can copyright from the road, whatever that looks like. I have used it to be home for my sister's 2 births, which was super rewarding for me and amazing. I didn't have to ask anyone for permission. You can control your salary. So again, as you get better, you get to raise your rates. You don't have to wait for a company to say, okay, now you get a measly little raise at the end of the year. You can future-proof your career. Again, you get to be more adaptable and you get to integrate things like AI tools and stuff like that into your business. You're going to be doing that forever. And also you get to work part-time. Most freelance copywriters are not working full-time hours. Again, because they're not trading time for money, they are actually basing their pricing in value. And so that allows them the opportunity to work part-time hours while making a substantial income, a full-time income. You get to choose the people that you work with. Again, rooting back into that passion. That's one of the best parts of being a freelancer. When you work in-house, people tell you who you have to write for. And I don't know about you, but it's a lot harder for me to write for something that I just don't believe in. So I'm a big believer in making this work to align with your particular passions. And the other great thing about being a freelancer is that you get to learn very quickly with online resources. So you don't need any previous experience. You can learn with a ton of resources and tools online. And that is amazing because, again, it's going to allow you to accelerate on your career at your own pace, which is amazing. I don't know about you, but I was always frustrated in my 9 to 5 because I had to wait. So many people would be getting raises that didn't work as hard as me, quite frankly. And I found that really frustrating. So I really love being in control of, as I get better, as I know that I'm providing more value, that I get to raise my rates. Okay, now that we've gotten through all that, let's talk about how you can hone your skills as a copywriter really quickly so you can get up and running in about 3 months. And again, that's when you're gonna first start earning your first bit of income. So I wanna go ahead and give you some really quick tips. Now, each of these are jam-packed with advice and information. So pause if you need to, write them down, but definitely take some time to really dig into each one because it's fairly easy to understand something conceptually, but it's a whole nother thing to take it and practice it and implement it so that you are actually using those strategies and techniques. The first thing I want to go ahead and lead with is that you should be using you a lot in copywriting. Really, most copy should be a one-to-one conversation. You're not talking to a big group of people. You want to be talking to one person and you want to be having an intimate, connecting conversation with them. One recommendation that I like to give is to imagine a person in your real life. So if you are writing a piece of copy and you think this would be perfect for my sister, put your sister's name at the top of that piece of copy and write as if you are writing to her. That's going to make sure that you're not being really broad or general or generic. You're going to get more specific and be able to use verbiage and lingo that will really resonate with her, as well as stories. The next tip is to use the active voice versus the passive voice. So in the active voice, the subject performs the action. This makes your copy so much more impactful and effective and really puts the person in the actual copy so that they're feeling it and understanding it. This is something you can dig into a little bit more on your own, but I wanted you to add it to your list. The next thing I want to recommend is that you keep your writing elementary or middle school level. It's really important to remember that most copy is read on the go. We're on the go people. You might be reading it on your phone while you're waiting for the doctor, and so you want to make it really easy to consume and digest. So most copy should be kept simple and conversational. The other thing I want you to start working on is having short, punchy sentences. You might notice that a lot of the grammar rules are thrown out the window with copy, and that's okay. Run-on sentences are actually a lot of work for your brain to decipher. So make them short, make them punchy, make them easy to read on the go. The next thing I want you to incorporate is storytelling. I always ask my students, where can you show me and not tell me? All too often when we're writing copy or writing anything, we tell the reader something, when you can actually show them something and it will be far more effective. I like to use this analogy. When you think of great mentors in books like Gandalf or Dumbledore, and they're helping the protagonist through a journey, Frodo and Harry Potter, what do? They don't say, you have to do this, you must do this. No, they tell them powerful stories and they show them the right ways or give them hints along the ways. And it's the same thing with copywriting. Nobody likes to be told what to do. So don't tell your reader what to do. Instead, show them with really effective storytelling. Now, two things you can do to kind of help yourself with copywriting is hand copy and copy. That's a pretty common recommendation. You can use swipe.co and you can look up old pieces of copy that we know are effective. Now, this is really important because sometimes newbie copywriters want to hand copy, copy that they find online with their favorite brands. But the problem with that is that you don't know that it was actually impactful copy or successful copy unless someone tells you that it was. So what's better is to go to a place, a resource that has actual effective copy, even if it's cringe. In fact, honestly, especially if it's cringe, because the old school copywriting pieces that you can hand copy, they're so much more overt than they are today. And that's actually really helpful because it's easier to see what they're doing. So you can hand copy. I love to suggest that you do it for 30 days. I did it. It's kind of a rite of passage for a lot of copywriters. I think it's really helpful. Some people love to, go against the grain and say that it doesn't do anything, but I've seen that with people, it actually gets you thinking. It gets your creative juices flowing and you start to pick it apart and notice why are they doing something. And then also you get to make decisions about what kind of copywriter you want to be. You don't have to be a fear-mongering copywriter to be a really successful copywriter. In fact, I would encourage you not to be a fear-mongering copywriter. We live in a much more conscious time, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Also start reading books, especially copywriting books, writing books, psychology books. Some of my favorite books aren't even copywriting books, like Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. I also really love Influence by Robert Cialdini, Breakthrough Copywriting by David Garfinkel, Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz, Storybrand by Donald Miller, and Everybody Writes by Ann Handley. And then for some of your more mindset books that really help with, pushing back against writer's block and resistance and things like that, I really, really love The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield and Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Books are going to play a huge role in your journey to success, so start digging in. Now, the next thing you want to do to be a successful copywriter is learn all about your audience. Honestly, this is the foundation of your success. It's one of the reasons I recommend having a niche, because when you have a niche, you actually shortcut this process. And here's why. 1, you give yourself focus. 2, you become an expert more quickly because you're concentrating your efforts. And you make sure that you're reaching out to similar brands and businesses. So all of the information and things that you're learning, especially around who the audience is, when there are similar audiences, are going to lend to each other. So instead of writing in the beauty space, which is a completely different audience from maybe the health and wellness space, and starting from scratch each time, you're going to really get to know the person that you're writing to, because you're going to need to understand who are they? What are their pain points? What do they struggle with? What are their dreams and aspirations? What are the words that they use? What are the stories that they tell? What are their core values? And then ultimately, what problem does your product or service that you're writing about solve? This is the cornerstone of great copy. You can absolutely be a generalist, but I have seen time and time again how picking a niche really narrows the focus and allows people to become an expert and well-known within their industry relatively quickly. Because a big part of this process is client outreach. And when you start to build a name for yourself in an industry, you are going to have to do less client outreach. And so it doesn't really take that long to become a well-known copywriter in a particular niche. I would say it only takes about a year if you're working at it consistently. So that's why I recommend it. But again, I love for people to set this whole process up to match their own values. The other thing that you really want to start learning is psychology. I am going to talk briefly about the 7 principles of persuasion by Robert Cialdini, but there are so many other psychological elements that are worth studying as a copywriter, and the best place you're going to find these are books and YouTube videos, so dig deep here. Remember, this video is an overview of how to get up and running as quickly as possible. So let's talk about the 7 principles of persuasion, and you will find these in the book Influence. First is scarcity. So it is human nature to not want to miss out on something. So when you can incorporate genuine scarcity into your copywriting, that is going to go a long way. Maybe it's a limited time, limited offer, limited space, limited amount. All of those things will play a really powerful role in your copy if they truly exist. Another one is reciprocity. We are wired to give when somebody gives to us. So if you give somebody something for free, or you're really generous with your content and your information, then they are more likely to be reciprocal and to give back to you. So this is one of my favorite persuasive techniques because it also feels really good to give people helpful things. The next one is commitment. Once you get somebody to make a purchase with your brand, they're more likely to do it again. So this is all about fostering loyalty among your customers. The next one is social proof. We want to see what other people are doing and that they are also on board with whatever it is that you're selling, because we trust other people more than we trust the person selling to us. So incorporating social proof is essential to good copy. The next one is authority. So we are more likely to make a purchase from somebody that we trust. There are so many different ways to establish authority. Sometimes it's through your credentials, your experience. Sometimes it's through connection and empathy. That's also really important. I always remind people this. It's not always about your certifications or degrees. Sometimes it's about that you can connect and really understand and empathize with them. The next one is liking. So people obviously purchase from people that they like. So when you put your values out there into the world, you're going to resonate with people who have similar values. And that's how you create loyal customers, but also customers that you really want to serve. It's a beautiful, beautiful principle and also one of my favorites. And then the next one is unity. So we like to be a part of, we are communal creatures and we want to feel part of a group. So when you create an image of what it's like to be a part of a group, and that group resonates again with that person's values, they're going to be so much more excited and willing and, just desire to be a part of that community. You'll often notice that people do this by calling their followers something like Swifties with Taylor Swift. That creates a sense of unity among people who are her fans. Okay, so now that we've got the basics of copywriting, we have to start writing copy. This is one of the most important steps of the process, and I see people get so stuck here because they just want to study and ideate and theorize. But at the end of the day, the place where you're going to get the best at this is by just freaking writing. So please, please, please write. Write for your own business. Find people in your life who have businesses and write for them too. And then you got to get feedback on your work. But not from mom and dad, but somebody who actually understands copy. In fact, please don't take your copywriting to your English professor because they're probably going to destroy it. It is not that same style of writing, so you want to make sure that you're getting your copy in the hands of another copywriter. And there's a few ways you can do that. You can join a program, you can join a mentorship, but you can also take it to an established copywriter and pay them for feedback, or offer to write some of their copy for them. You can also hire a copy editor, somebody who's trained in copywriting, and they can give you feedback on your piece. It is so worth it. The other thing I want to encourage you to do is to start taking on clients well before you feel ready. This is really important, and I feel like a lot of people out there forget this. Everybody had to start at the beginning. Everybody had to be a beginner. So there are businesses all the way up the copywriting ladder. There are businesses who cannot afford my services, hands down. But maybe when you are first starting out and first getting that practice, they can afford yours. So go find those businesses and offer to write for them, but definitely charge them something, because people will value your work more if you're charging something, even if it's like newbie rates. Did you know that when you study something for 100 hours, you're already more competent than I forget the exact statistic, it's like 90% of people? Again, remembering that your clients are business owners doing their business thing, and they don't have time to study the craft of copywriting, but you do. So you're already, just by virtue of trying and practicing and maybe even hiring a copy editor and studying and working at your skill, you already have a leg up on some of these business owners. So remember that there's always going to be a perfect match client, no matter where you are in your experience on this journey. The next step is to create your portfolio. As you start to gain experience and you're actually practicing, put together a portfolio. I really recommend building a quick and easy Squarespace template because it just sets you apart from most freelancers online. Freelancers don't really have the best reputation, quite frankly. They come across as needy, they're unreliable, they're inconsistent. So if you can be professional and show up differently and be a joy to work with, you're already gonna stand out in the crowd. And remember, your portfolio isn't stagnant. Because it lives online, it's a living, breathing thing, and you will replace it and put new and improved pieces all along the way. So don't overthink it, start building it and gaining more and more practice. Okay, now that we're working on a really strong foundation, let's talk about how to get your first few clients. My favorite strategies are LinkedIn, so building a network there, friending people who have adjacent businesses like web designers in your niche, fractional CMOs, chief marketing officers in your niche, but also people who are business owners within your niche. That's a really powerful way to start building a name for yourself. Put a few pieces of content out there, talk about what you do, update your profile, and just start getting hooks in the pond. So one of the ways that you can get your first few clients are, as I mentioned, within your immediate network. This is for true newbies. You have business owners in your life, whether it's the person who works at your yoga studio, whether it's where you go to get your hair cut, whether it's an uncle or a friend of a friend, you have business owners in your life that you can reach out to. And the benefit of doing this is that they already know you. So they're going to be so much more inclined to say yes. It's really important that you're constantly adding to your network, and you want to be thinking not only just business owners in your niche, but also people who have adjacent services like web designers and fractional CMOs or chief marketing officers. Start building your network, start putting out valuable content, and start connecting via DM. And then you want to remember to actually pitch in your DMs. This leads me to my next one, cold email. I still love it. It still works. There are two ways to go about it. You can go for volume, where you're actually reaching out to a lot of different people. But as you get better and more clear about who you really want to work with, I really love cold email for really targeted people, like people that you really truly want to work with. This is how I've worked with some of the biggest names in my industry. You want to make sure that you're coming with a value-focused approach and that you are showing them how you are a business owner and you're going to show up and really help them. I have a lot of other videos on cold emailing and other strategies, so dig in there. The other strategy I want to put on your radar is to join relevant Facebook groups. So for example, if you want to write in the health and wellness space, you can join Facebook groups that are focused on losing weight, becoming a vegan, starting the keto diet, whatever it is, and just be really helpful and optimize your profile so that it is showing them exactly who you are. So as long as you're not promoting yourself, because most of these groups won't allow you to promote yourself, what you want to do is you just want to answer questions relevant to marketing and copywriting and being really helpful. And what will happen naturally is people will click over to your profile, see that you're a copywriter, and then you can start connecting and DMing them in that way. The other thing I want to throw on here is places like Upwork. You can absolutely find great clients on Upwork, but I do not recommend starting there. The reason for that is platforms like that are generally a race to the bottom. So everybody's undercutting each other's prices, and so people tend to go with the cheapest options available, and that is not a way to set up a successful, lucrative freelance career, in my opinion. However, once you've had some clients and you know what you're looking for in a client and you know that you can deliver like top tier copywriting and have bigger retainers and projects, Upwork can actually be really helpful. So I would say put that one in your back pocket for a little bit later in your journey. So I know that was a lot. There was a ton of information, and quite frankly, each individual step is a video of its own, and they exist here on my channel. So now that you've got an outline or a path, start chipping away at each and every step. And truly, you can have a copywriting business up in as fast as 3 months. This will depend on what your availability is, what time you've got to work with. Obviously, if you've only got a few minutes each day, that will still get you really far, but it'll probably take you a little bit longer. Kind of common sense, but I feel like I have to say it. But the main thing here is consistency. Figure out what you can do consistently, and if you can show up every day and do a little bit and just chip away, you can build a freelance copywriting career. And a lot of people are able to replace their incomes very quickly, again, because you're not charging hourly, but you're gonna charge based in value. And copywriting is a high value skill that every single business needs. So I hope this helps. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and please hit the thumbs up if this was especially helpful for you. The way that you guys like my videos and interact with my videos are how I figure out what to create more of. And of course, let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'm happy to help. Thanks, guys.